Hi, I'm Krista.
And I'm Sarah.
And we have this podcast called Have We Talked About? Where two friends at different points in their lives chat about everything in their lives.
From current events to pop culture, from self-care to self-indulgence, and everything in between.
Join us weekly to see what we talk about next. Hey, friend.
Hey, what's going on?
You know, the huge.
We're back for another episode, baby.
We're back again. As always, happy to see you.
Yep. Absolutely. What are we talking about today, Krista?
I was thinking we could talk about something fun. Maybe talk a little bit about celebrity crushes, guys that we think that are hot, and maybe kind of dig into what make guys hot. Like what are the traits and, you know, things about guys that make us drool over them, I guess. I'm sure
Okay.
I'm sure our lists are opposite, but I'm pulling from data. I'm pulling from you know, sources. This is not going to be my opinion.
And also, I want to chat about, if we have some time, you know, the interesting, you know, people that got together that were couples. Maybe they dated for a bit. Maybe they got married. Again, I don't know these people. I don't know them personally. I just see, you know, tabloids and everything. So I'm just like, interesting that you were together for 3 years or something. So I have a few examples I want to chat through with you.
Do you want to talk about those first? Or you want to talk about the hot guys first?
We can talk about the hot guys first.
So I have like a generic list of like hot guys, but I have my own list of hot guys.
Mm-hmm. And obviously that has changed over the years, but currently, who is on that list?
So currently on my list is Jason Momoa, Chris Evans, Henry Cavill, Idris Elba.
Yep.
And that's it. I have some like lower tier crushes, which they're not full-fledged crushes, so I don't necessarily...
You just like them?
I don't go hard for them. I don't go to every movie they're in, but when they're in a movie, I'm like, yes. And these guys are not actually as famous, I guess, is why it makes them low tier. Like, if I tell you these names, you probably won't recognize them because they're not necessarily in anything current or what you probably call, like, A-list celebrities.
Let's hear them.
Well, let me preface it by this. I do have, in terms of my own likes, I do have a small thing for gingers.
Okay.
So, but don't worry, Ed Sheeran is not on my list, but I do have a thing for gingers, and sometimes it's not that the person is a ginger, but they're strawberry blonde, which kind of gives ginger vibes. So then that bleeds into like my ginger crush. So there's an actor by the name of Cole Hauser who is married
What's he in?
Exactly, what's he in? The first time I saw him is in this 90s movie called like Higher Learning, like a Spike Lee movie. But he has like the deepest, sexiest voice. And he's like, I'm pretty sure he's a redhead naturally. But he's married to one of the... Do you remember the show Sweet Valley High with the two twin blonde girls?
I remember it, but I didn't watch it.
So he's married to one of them. Anyway, yeah, he's hot. So whenever he's in a movie, I'm like, yes. And he always plays like this like douchey character, usually in the movies of late. Nice. Another guy is Josh Lucas. Again, he's like a B-list actor, but gives like ginger vibes. In love with him. And then an actor who isn't in stuff a lot now, but used to be very heavy in the 80s, Jason Patric. And he's from The Lost Boys. And I've always had a thing for him. So,
yep.
That's
nice. I feel like your main list is pretty... I feel like a lot of people would have crushes on those people that you mentioned.
I agree. I will preface it with this is that it's my list, but it's not my list because anytime one of these celebrities is in a relationship, they fall off my crush list. So technically the only person that's active on my crush list is Jason Momoa because I don't know that he's like in a confirmed relationship. But now that Chris Evans is with his girlfriend, Alba, like, my attraction, like, basically drops to zero as soon as I hear that they're in a relationship. And I don't know if that's out of respect for the relationship. Like, it's just weird for me to be like, you know, lusting after somebody who's in, you know, married or like in a relationship. It's weird. But I am waiting for Henry Cavill to break up with his girlfriend. It's usually about that time now that
And you're gonna just make your move and, you know, go to LA or wherever he's at.
He's in London. He's not in LA.
That's funny.
Maybe he's not. I mean, he's not necessarily my type because he's very cookie cutter. Not like my bad boy vibe. You know, he looks like a guy who does the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Wakes up at 6, drinks like a protein shake, and is very, you know, he's consistent, but there's not a lot of variety to him. He's like,
but he's nice on the eyes.
Yeah, he's like a baked chicken, and I'm like, I need like a firecracker chicken. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need something with a little more flavor. But yeah, I'm not mad at him.
That's funny. Yeah, when I was doing some quick prep for this episode, a lot of those names continually to pop up as like top male, you know, crushes right now. So that's understandable.
Do you have a list?
Yes, I do have a list. Good. But what you said that, you know, your crush falls off once they're in a relationship or married. Yeah, no, not really. Mine just is constant.
Because you're already married, so it cancels it out, I guess. You're like, well, it's not gonna. Yeah,
I guess so.
It's not real. It's not like I'm gonna actually be with this person. No. I'm with my person. That's valid.
No. And mine, I think a lot of them are quite similar. I think a lot of them are quite similar. And there's a few like. Anyways, I'll just say the list, and then you let me know.
Yeah.
So Ryan Reynolds. I just think he's a funny guy.
Honorable mention for me to Ryan Reynolds. But his personality I can't deal with all the time.
You have to be very... But then again, we only know him as when he's like on a TV talk show, whatever, you know, doing a movie or whatever. Like, who knows how he actually is in his everyday life.
He's probably miserable.
Oh yeah, miserable with his beautiful wife and like 3 or 4 daughters. Yeah. This individual was on my list for a very long time, but then with the recent news, he has now dropped off, but I will mention him. Liam Hemsworth.
Oh. What's the recent news?
Well, because Miley Cyrus came out with a song.
Yeah.
Flowers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was speculating that Liam cheated on Miley during their marriage multiple times. Oh. So she's like, I can buy my own flowers. Fuck you. I don't need you. Da-da-da-da. So I'm like... Cheater, no, you're off my list now. But like he's always nice on the eyes.
I really enjoy his brother though, Chris, who's always on the hot list.
Yeah, and I also just feel like that family in general is just like hot. Like, how are you all hot?
The older brother is not hot. There's another.
The older brother that's married.
Well,
with like kids.
I mean, I guess.
I don't know.
Isn't there only 3 of them?
Maybe, I don't know. I just feel like they're all attractive, and they're all from Australia. I'm pretty sure too.
Correct.
I just feel like they're all attractive. This individual has been on my list on and off over the years. Channing Tatum.
Yes, he gets an honorable mention for me too.
Right? Like, he's just nice to look at.
Yeah. For some reason, lately, he just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, like, I love him in like a romantic comedy. I love him in The Vow with Rachel McAdams.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not kick him out of bed. But for some reason, he's not on my list. I just feel like saying the name Channing is too difficult, so he can't be a love interest.
Valid. And also, is that his first name? Or is that, like, did he, like, change his name for Hollywood? Like, just want to know that.
I feel like that is like, his first name, but...
Interesting. Anyways, so...
He's, like, grew up in the South, so it's not, you know, like, they don't have, like, normal English names. They always, like, have, like, some remix name.
Yeah. Valid. And I feel like, I don't know if I want to, I feel like I have a sort of crush on him, and I feel like it stemmed from The Office, John Krasinski.
Oh.
But he's married.
Yeah.
And he's older, too. But I just think he's funny, and he's
older.
Probably a good guy.
Channing Tatum is, like, 43, so, like, how... John Krasinski...
But he has, like, a baby face, Channing.
Does he now, though?
Maybe. I don't know. Again, I don't know them personally. Yeah. I just see their bodies. I also feel like this individual would treat you well, and I feel like this individual is a family guy, and and I obviously look for that.
Sounds hot.
The Rock.
Oh, I used to have a crush on The Rock too. But
right? I just feel like, yeah, whatever. Like,
I could see that.
I don't know. I just feel like I like like aspects. Like he's definitely a family man. He doesn't have like 3 daughters or something. Like,
yeah,
he's all up in the nail polish and playing dolls. Like, that is just so sweet to me. Yeah, I like that.
I agree.
And probably my final one is Michael B. Jordan. He's just like nice to look at.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't know what type of guy he is, but he's just like nice. His face looks nice.
When he came out with the movie Mercy with Jamie Foxx, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, when it was at TIFF, I went to the, I don't know what it's called, but TIFF will host these conversations with the actors about the movie, like after it premieres. So I went to a conversation with Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan, and we sat and listened to him talk. And he's very, charming and polite, and so I could see what the attraction is. There's a part of him that's endearing. I just look at him as cute. Like, he doesn't do it for me for some reason.
Yeah.
But going back to The Rock, I think
valid.
Everybody's attracted. The sense of like masculinity is prevalent with a lot of these crushes, where you're like, yes, an intruder's in the house.
You're going to protect me.
Yeah, I won't have to do this myself.
Exactly. And then some like past crushes when Sarah was like in like high school or whatever. Definitely Zac Efron before he got like changed his face. Like, what the heck is that about?
Yeah, what's going on with the jaw, my friend?
Right. Like, Zac Efron was up there. And I would definitely also say Taylor Lautner as well.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I can't get on that train at all. Though I did watch Twilight years after it was popular, and for some reason, whatever little shimmery makeup they put on Robert Pattinson, I was like, oh, okay, I could see how people were like into him, even though there's nothing to be into. But for some reason, I guess the tortured vampire soul was like, yeah, I'm into it. The big giant jaw, I'm into it. But that faded.
Yeah, valid.
So maybe I could talk a little bit about, like, we've talked about our list and like what some like worldwide like top lists of hot guys are, and we can talk through some of these guys on here because some of them are not on our lists. So this list I pulled from the Trend Spotter, which is a
reliable source, obviously.
I forget if this is a men's magazine or what, but anyway, the number one on the list was Brad Pitt.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I've ever had a crush on Brad Pitt, oddly enough. Though I don't dispute that he has, like, good looks. And I remember him when he was in an 80s sitcom called Head of the Class. But
I think his time has passed.
Oh. Do you think that his attraction has been overshadowed by his whole mess with Angelina Jolie? Do you think him and the rumored altercations has like made him look less attractive?
Totally.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Absolutely. I think because wasn't he married to Jennifer Aniston for a hot sec?
Yeah. And then met Angelina.
Cheated on. Yeah. And then they got together, they had kids, they adopted kids, whatever, but then there was like falling out and everything that happened. I think it didn't put him in the greatest light.
Yeah. Like he got drunk on a plane and was like belligerent, and I think he was like a little physical with one of the kids, and I was just like, what? Yeah, no,
that's very not attractive. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah. Though, I mean, this is just speculation. We don't know if that's confirmed to be true, but
valid.
But just the idea of it, obviously, detracts from his looks.
Yeah.
One we already talked about on the list is Chris Hemsworth, aka Thor. Mm-hmm. He's hot, and he's tall.
Yeah.
And in interviews, he's funny. I love a funny guy, and I also have a thing for blue eyes and blonde hair.
Yeah.
But he also seems like he's very in touch with his emotional side, which sounds like such a cliche, but he can move between the two of like being a masculine jock, but also just being sensitive to people and surroundings and stuff, which I think is why, he's like, oh, he's cute.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
One on the list that I've struggled with, but I guess he probably has like a really good personality, is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh gosh. Like if you're not under 25, he's not going to date you.
And his head is very, very large.
Like how many people has he been with over his years since he's been in Hollywood? Like I feel like he's been with so many people.
Well, he's almost 50 at this point, right?
Oh my god.
So I don't know. He's probably been with at least 10 women. Is that a lot?
Oh, I would say more.
He's been with 10 plus. I mean, I would say that these are always, for the most part, relationships that last a few years, though.
Yes. No, valid. And I think when he was maybe a little younger, he was maybe a little cuter. Now that he's older.
Interesting. I see it the opposite. Like, I never thought that big head, that big flat pancake head was cute. And it's like, now it's more acceptable because he's older.
That's funny.
But it's his personality, I think, more than anything, that probably makes him interesting. In The Wolf of Wall Street, I think he showed some of his personality in it when he was doing his little pop and lock dance, and it's like, oh, okay, he's got a little bit of like spice to him. But yeah,
he picks good roles. Like he's in a lot of good movies. I don't understand all the people he's been with, and I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm not a man, so I can only speculate from a woman's perspective, which is probably the wrong anyway, but it's just like he doesn't want to settle down, so he's just with women that are younger, because then that never becomes an issue.
Yeah, he just wants to have fun.
Yeah, which brings us to the next guy, who also is known to be a bit of a playboy Casanova, who is no longer George Clooney.
Yeah. But he's found his partner.
Yeah. I mean,
and locked it down pretty quickly, and then he now has twins.
Yeah. And they've been together, I know, at least more than 10 years now. But it just goes to show, like, a guy knows. Like, he knows when he knows.
Yeah.
There's no reason that you should be waiting around for years for a ring, ladies.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yep.
And he was like the longest standing bachelor. Like it was like a running joke in Hollywood.
Right.
Like he was single. He was just like, you know.
And then he'd be in these relationships with these women, and it'd be like, will he or won't he? Will he or won't he?
Yeah.
And now look at him. I mean, I never crushed on George Clooney, but I can understand the appeal.
Yeah, I can understand as well. No, neither.
Yeah, I respect the hustle, but not for me. Idris Elba.
Oh. I understand that. Yeah.
Total hotness. Respect to him and his wife, though, so I don't want to talk too much about him. And then on this list is Henry Cavill, who we talked about. He was Superman.
Yep.
Like, I feel like Superman is Henry's actual personality. So, and as somebody who walks the line between good and bad mostly, like, I would struggle with that. Next on the list is Keanu Reeves.
Oh.
Which I could see.
I can see. Not my cup of tea, but I feel like people do have crushes on him.
Right? Like, he's he's very gracious. He's Canadian, so he's polite. He's tall. He kind of gives dark and brooding because he's a bit of a loner. And just, like, riding his little motorcycle all around, like, the coast of California.
Yeah.
Regular people who have stories of encountering him always have, like, really good stories of how nice and
I love
gracious he was. I remember Sherry Shepherd, an actress, gave a story a few years back saying that when she first moved to Hollywood, she was in her little clunker of a car that, like, broke down and maybe on, like, Hollywood Boulevard or some shit. And she's just there in her sweatpants with, like, holes in it, just looking ratty as fuck. And the car gives out, and this guy pulls up on a motorcycle, and he's like, oh, do you need help pushing it? And it was Keanu Reeves. And she's like, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
She's like, I'm never, like, she's like, to this day, that she will never say, like, a bad thing about him. And it's like, yeah, that, he seems like that type of guy.
Yeah, like a nice, genuine person.
Right. Like, he's been in Hollywood forever. And literally unaffected.
Yeah. Oh, I love to hear those stories.
Yeah. Which brings me to another guy who seems unaffected by Hollywood, maybe because he hasn't gotten as popular yet. Jason Momoa, a.k.a. like caveman, a.k.a. like hot as fuck.
Yep.
Definitely would not kick him out of bed. This one is an interesting one. Henry Golding from Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay, I can see it. Not my type, but I can definitely see that people might have crushes on him.
Yeah.
Because he's an attractive guy.
He's an attractive guy. He has a deep voice. I love his accent. It's his hair for me that it's a little too like Ken doll. His hair, I think, is what it is. He's a little too coiffed, which is not my jam. So not for me.
Isn't he in a relationship or married?
He could be. I don't really know enough.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Either.
He's been in a couple of like romantic comedies and stuff, like Last Christmas. So now taking it completely to the opposite direction, one of the men that's made it on this list is Jared Leto. I never know how to say his last name. Yeah. I know girls that loved him.
Again, not my cup of tea, but the list has to be a variety of different people with different, characteristics and different looks. So that's fine. That fine, but he's not my cup of tea.
Yeah. He, I guess, would be like a bad boy.
Yeah.
Next on the list is Ryan Reynolds, who we talked about.
Yep.
Next on the list is actually Johnny Depp. Right? Interesting.
Well, I think his popularity has increased since the trial with his ex-wife because he won that. So I think in that sense, he potentially moved up a few ranks.
Definitely.
But do I think he should be on that list? I don't know.
I think it's like speaking to like the bad boy vibes. And he definitely has that, like that rocker bad boy vibe. And he, in his heyday, he has a interesting look, a non-traditional look. So I could see how people are into that. Bringing it back to the all-American looks, Bradley Cooper makes this list. And he's somebody, I could see it. I'm not attracted to him. He has very large ears, though. So I'm always... distracted by that when I see him in interviews.
That doesn't stand out to me.
Oh, okay. Well, the next time you see him, you just look at his ears, and then you'll never not look at his ears for the rest of the time that you ever see him on anything ever. But he does speak fluent French, which is so interesting.
And random, no?
Yeah, I don't remember how he knows French, but yeah.
Got it.
Since we want to go into the Europe category, Jamie Dornan from 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he got popular. I think he got attractive, quote unquote, because of those movies and that franchise.
Yeah, I think he's cute. He's not somebody I lust after. He's married with kids, but yeah, I wouldn't kick him out of bed. Ooh, one of my very old crushes, Matthew McConaughey. I used to love him so much.
Yeah.
I still enjoy him, and he's had, some great acting roles, but ever since he lost weight after Dallas Buyers Club, like, his looks have never really returned after that for me, so.
Valid.
That's
a pretty long list. Is there anyone on it?
There's lots of others. Zac Efron is on it. Jason Statham is on it. He's in a lot of action type of movies. I don't see the appeal there. Yep. Matt Bomer is on it. Matt Bomer, he's in Magic Mike. He's cute. John Cho.
I don't know who that is.
He's from like the Harold and Kumar series.
Oh.
Ryan Gosling's on it. Ryan Gosling for me is too weird. He always gives weird vibes. Like he'll offer to walk you home so you're safe, but he'll also like would drink your blood. Like that's what he gives me.
I feel like he's kind of fallen off the face of the universe. Like, what has he been in the last 5 years?
He's in the Barbie movie.
Okay. Other than that, I feel like he's just focused on his personal life.
Being a dad with Eva Mendes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's always been a bit of a recluse, I think. Let me just a couple more on this list. Then is David Beckham. He's hot.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't lust after him, but he made like arm sleeve tattoos like hot to me.
Yeah, cool.
Hugh Jackman's on the list.
Okay.
Alexander Skarsgård is on the list, if you know who that is. He was in True Blood. He was in Big Little Lies. Tall, Swedish guy. Tyson Beckford, which he was a model. I don't think most people know who that is. Zayn Malik from One Direction.
Okay.
Chris Pine.
Okay.
Right?
From the Marvel movies?
Chris Pine is not in any Marvel movies. He's
No?
from the Star Trek movies. And I'll do 3 more. Jude Law, right?
Okay.
Ooh,
okay.
There's one that I don't see on here that I actually think is cute. Tom Hardy is cute.
Mm-hmm.
He's not on this list, but this made me think of that. Dev Patel from Slumdog Millionaire.
Okay.
Michael Fassbender. I used to have a crush on Michael Fassbender. He's from the X-Men movies mostly. He's like a ginger, and he is Irish, I think. And yeah, he's married now, so I'm not in love with him anymore. But yeah,
Got it.
And he has like a full frontal in one of his movies, and he does not disappoint.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
And he's in 12.
Well, that's a long list.
12 Years a Slave, where he shows, you can see the outline of his manhood, and I was like, oh, okay,
Understood.
Gotta dig into that a little bit.
Well,
more.
that's a long list, and that's yeah, no, it's good though. It's good. And then so I want to kind of veer the conversation to people that maybe they're married, maybe they did it for a short time, that personally, maybe myself, maybe you, think is a little strange. Again, I don't know these people.
Sure.
I'm just fully judging and basing what I think is weird. Just from what I've read, what I've seen, what I know. Yeah.
Of course. Give it to me.
So the first one that comes to mind is Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles.
Right?
Yeah. What?
I mean, Harry Styles, it does give the big dick energy, though. So I could see him getting any girl of any age that he wanted.
But like, just fascinating to me that I don't know the timeline, but potentially she left her husband, Jason Sudeikis, and their children, and then started dating Harry Styles.
I know.
For a year, 2?
I think that's the definition of a fling after a marriage, right?
Yeah, so that was interesting to me.
Yeah, agreed.
I also think it was a little, again, I don't know these people, so maybe they're in great relationships. Channing Tatum, and I think currently he's dating Zoe Kravitz. Yeah, Kravitz. Interesting. And then before that, he dated Jessie J. Interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for a while, too.
Okay. Yeah, for a while.
He's into the creative types.
Seems like it. Although he was married to like a dancer for a bit and had a kid with her.
Yeah, because they met they were both co-stars in Step Up.
Yeah, exactly. So, interesting. I think the pairing or the marriage between Chris Pratt and Katherine Schwarzenegger is interesting.
Yeah, especially because I didn't know that Chris had such a love of the Lord. Yeah. And that became prevalent like during that relationship.
Yes.
But I will say I never understood him when he was with Anna Faris. Like, I didn't understand that pairing.
Valid. Maybe I just don't know. Like, maybe he just puts on a different persona when he's out in the public and talking to people and having interviews and everything. Like, who knows? Like
a Ryan Reynolds? You just think he's just different behind...
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, maybe he's just, like, doing a hallelujah up and down the hallways of his house, and he just plays like a, dummy in the interview.
Yeah, right? Right, exactly. So, I just thought that was fascinating. And then like literally every single female that Pete Davidson has dated in the last 4 years. What?
I mean, his Riz game is extreme. The way he can pull anybody he wants.
Right.
But I get it. Well, one, they all say that he has a giant dick. So there's that. But in interviews that I've seen him in, or even in like movies and stuff, he has a side of him that's very sweet.
Yes. And I'm sure he does. But like the spectrum of women that he has pulled, from Kim Kardashian to Ariana Grande to that individual from Bridgerton, Phoebe something, to like, it's insane.
Or that model.
And like so quickly he jumps.
Emma
Emily something. Mind blowing to me.
Well, it doesn't mean that he's necessarily jumping. It's that they are jumping from him, because he does struggle with mental health issues. So I don't know if that plays a part in the relationships. And he also has like Crohn's disease, so his butt is basically on fire every other day of like shitting himself, and that
that's a shock.
That takes someone like unconditional love to deal with that.
Valid. And then Macaulay Culkin and Mila Kunis dated for like 9 years or something crazy, which is like, again, fascinating to me.
But that was so like, oh my God, back then. But now it's like, okay, like it doesn't seem that big a deal. It was more a bigger deal when Ashton and Mila got together, I feel like.
Well, it was a bigger deal because they worked together on the 70s show for so long, and then they like rekindled whatever. I think people were supportive and happy and excited for that.
Yeah. That to me is an odd pairing though to this day, because he's like 7 feet and she's like 4 feet.
That's true. And then Travis Baker marrying Kourtney Kardashian.
Travis Barker.
Sorry, Barker.
Yeah.
That is again I don't know these people. I just find it strange. Outsider's point of view, I just find it a little weird.
Again, Travis Barker is like a super sweet guy, so I think that's what the appeal is. He's like emotionally supportive. He's extremely complimentary. I used to watch him and his first wife, Shannon Moakler, in a reality show, and they so that's, and then of course he's the drummer for Blink-182. So that's how I first got to expose to like that side of his personality, where I'm like, the way that he is, you could see how you could fall in love with him, even though it's like, it seems like so crazy because he's not even like a rocker per se, but like that's his.
But he tries to be. Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, he's been a drummer for years,
for a long time.
So he doesn't try to be a rocker, but it's just not.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I've seen him on the new Kardashian show. I watched a few episodes, and like you can tell, like he's very sweet, he's very attentive, he's very compassionate and caring, and all those things. And I guess that's what she wanted. But it's just interesting to me. That's all.
Yeah, given that. Well, it's like, who does Kourtney like though? I think the challenge is like we never understood Kourtney's type.
Dating history.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because she's like a bit flat, at least the way that she appears. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love him. Travis. Yeah.
Exactly. Totally. And then the recent couple, Avril Lavigne and Tyga.
Oh my God, there's this whole YouTube video, or TikTok, not a YouTube video. TikTok being like, here's how crazy this connection is.
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yes, I did the same thing. Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. Like, okay, so Tyga is all, attached to the Kardashians, but then when you flip it, that byproduct is the attachment to the Jenners, and then she fucking dated Brody Jenner.
Exactly. Small world. Yikes.
And then is signed to Travis Barker's label. So it's like, I mean, but then at the same time, I guess that's how they met.
Valid, right? So those are just a few that I thought that I just didn't quite get. Again, I don't know these people, and I'm sure they're happy, which is great. Good for them. But I just don't get it.
Can we also talk about that Avril Lavigne's choices of men also through the years have been weird enough anyway? So is this like...
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and she was dating one of Travis Barker's artists before Tyga. The guy was signed.
Nice.
Whatever his name was. Something Maud or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I think she was engaged to him.
Or engaged, yeah. Whatever the relationship was, yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Right?
Fascinating.
It's fascinating that people can get these kind of relationships going so quickly. And it's like, this is definitely not happening on Bumble. I need to get on Rhea or whatever it is, because the action seems to be over there.
Seriously. Move to Hollywood and get on the app and start dating all those people.
Yeah, it's too incestuous for me.
Yeah. But then again, at the end of the day, it's hard because we are outsiders. We're not friends with any of these people.
Of course.
We read things, we watch things, we learn things. We don't know if things are accurate, if they're made up, if they're exaggerated, etc. Right? So just take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah, we're just doing this for fun. Everybody is beautiful in God's eyes.
Exactly. Is there anything else you want to chat about during this episode, Krista?
I want to talk about like some of the things that make guys hot that we maybe consciously or unconsciously don't consider.
Okay.
Again, pulling this off of the interwebs. This isn't my own thoughts. This is a study. This was a cross-cultural study published and conducted at the University of California and published in the Journal of Psychology. So,
okay.
This is not a Cosmo article.
Okay.
So these are traits that are associated with attractiveness and the characteristics of a man that like you would fall in love with, I guess.
Okay.
But so interesting what the actual list says. So like the number one is facial hair.
That's the number one?
That is number one. However, we all know that a beard for a guy in these last decade has become like their version of makeup.
Valid, but I would feel like I would put maybe like personality above appearance.
Oh, I would not.
Because appearances change.
Yeah, well, I think that speaks to, I think guys can grow into their looks and get better looking as they get older. But yeah, a beard definitely changes the game, and I guess that speaks to the aspect of getting older. Like a beard can make you look older, so it makes a guy look more distinguished. Drake, I'm talking to you specifically. Like that beard game, it's on point. It's definitely helped in the attractiveness. But then number two is like sincerity.
Okay.
And I think we all are looking for that, especially those of us that are single. Sincerity, I think, is like the same as maybe like integrity and like truthfulness. Yeah. Number three I found interesting. The ability to tell a good story.
That's number three?
It's number three.
I would think maybe number three would be like humor.
Maybe it kind of ties in. Maybe it's part of like a bigger umbrella. But,
okay,
you know, to me, that's like banter. Like when you have a conversation with a guy, if they, or a human, right? Like in just like in your general life, when somebody can't bounce off of you, you're like, okay, this is like throwing a ball into the mud, right? Like it just like, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I could see that. And then number four.
Yikes. What is
Number four is body hair.
Body hair?
Okay, so I have two trains of thought about this. I will say that I'm not into like absurd amounts of body hair, but in order for you to be a man, that you should have some, because I do know that when a guy is hairless, it freaks me out. But it's something that I never considered. Yeah, I guess when I think about it, if the guy is hairless, I am a bit like, ugh.
But they didn't say, they just said body hair. They didn't say the quantity of body hair.
It just says like people often prefer men who have a bit of body hair.
Okay.
So,
valid.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a man, so why don't you have any? You're not a dolphin.
Right.
The next on the list is signs of physical activity. I like how they call it signs of physical activity.
Signs. Just signs.
Something that represents that they don't live in a recliner all day and do some kind of motion as part of their regular routine.
Okay.
Which I guess makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't necessarily care if the guy says he works out every day and considers the gym his hobby, but yeah, like, can you do something that's physical activity without becoming winded? Yeah, I could see how that would be important. Okay. The next on the list is feminine side.
I don't like the wording of that, but okay.
And I don't know what that means.
Probably just like sensitive and like understands potentially people's emotions and things like that. Maybe.
Yeah, like I would switch it out for like having like a high emotional IQ, like being able to read the room.
Yeah.
Of like if somebody is upset, doing a check-in. But like if this means like he cries with you, like that's definitely not on my list.
Right. Yeah.
You need to put that in your emotional vault, my friend. The only one that will be crying here is me. You can cry at a death. You can cry at your baby being born. But in between that, like keep that with your bros.
Got it.
Sense of humor is the next on the list, which I agree with highly.
Okay, I'm sorry. That is so far down the list. I'm shocked.
Well, I mean, that's what the study said. Maybe we're just not as self-aware as we think we are.
Yeah, valid. Okay.
Being into music is one that I wouldn't consider, but then when I think about the guys that I've never been able to click with, if they don't usually have an interest in any kind of music, I usually feel like that's something that dissuades me from pursuing anything further, because I'm like, where do you get your joy from? Like, what plays in your head then? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many songs in your life that when you hear them bring you back to a point in your life, right? Like, you're at this party or at this point in your life, and it's just like music is the soundtrack of your life. So if they're not into music, it's just like, So it's just silence in your place?
But, like, I don't think I'm into music that much, but, like, I still listen to music, but I can't specify my favorite song right now or anything.
And I can't either, but you
know.
go to concerts, do you not?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. This person wouldn't. This person would listen to, like, BBC radio or some shit. Like,
or he listens to, like, AM
yeah, like,
radio.
It's like, we still get AM radio? Like, what? You're just listening to, like, the traffic all day?
Got it. Okay. The news.
Right? This is pretty low on the list. I'm just gonna do, how many will I do? I'll do up to 15 if it takes too long.
Oh my god.
But the next on the list is intelligence, which I think is a given. Okay. We don't need to discuss that. Men who smell good.
I think that's just a bonus.
Yeah, like smelling like soap is always a good thing. Good hair. Nowadays, a lot of guys are balding, so I don't necessarily think that that's like something that's like a number one or that important. Yeah. Volunteering, to me, I don't even know how that got on the list. No. Showing passion in the bedroom, yeah, sure, but like if you're...
But no, maybe they're passionate about like
collecting little figurines or something?
Or no, like maybe they're passionate about like cars and they know a lot about cars, so they're passionate about talking about cars, or maybe they're passionate about, you know, hockey or whatever. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like you can have a passion that's something that you really like. That's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone has a passion.
Agreed, but don't talk like, is it something that you have to talk to me about all the time though? Like as long as they have a group of people to talk about it with, and it's not me. Yeah. This I feel like is a little bit low on the list. Work ethic. Yeah. Right? Like if we consider women to be hypergamous creatures who are always like looking for a guy who's ambitious, like it feels like that should be like somewhere close to number one. Like I'm not gonna date a guy who doesn't have a job.
Agree. I think it should definitely be in the top 5. I say that would be in my top 5, not like near the end of the list. I think that's an important quality, but maybe, you know, other people don't.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. It would be in my top 5. Like, are you working towards something? I'm working towards something. Are you working towards something? Are you willing to like put in the effort, or are you telling me that you're tired?
Exactly, because I don't know how that relationship would succeed.
Yeah. At least with me. And right. Okay, I'm gonna talk about 2 more. Having confidence. I think that's a given.
I think that's always great.
And then the last one, even though there are more, is being a gentleman. Right?
Yeah, that's nice.
One thing that I do always find attractive, like when I watch like videos and stuff, is when you see like a guy being like a dad with his little baby. Like it's always like the sweetest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure.
More guys should walk around with babies, I feel like, if they want to get dates or laid. It would definitely help them.
Jesus. Well, I think we know what Krista likes in a guy and what she looks for in a guy.
Gingers.
That's too funny. Well, I think this was great. I learned things too. So I appreciate you bringing all the stats to this episode, Krista.
Well, since you're the married one here, tell me of that list, or now that you've had a little bit of time to reflect, what are maybe like 3 of the things that made you really be in love with your hubby, if you want to share?
Well, I think it changes over time. Like you mentioned about the kids. Like when we had our first son, I think I fell in love with him even more. Aww. Just how he became a dad, and how he handled it. Right?
Yeah.
But I think love changes, ebb and flows. I think that's the latest thing, is just how he is with our son.
And I think an underlying current for women in being attracted to men, so we're only talking obviously about straight heterosexual relationships, right? This doesn't apply to all kinds, is like the ability for the man and the woman, but like in terms of attraction, showing resilience. Like, how are you handling change or adversity, right?
Yeah.
You read these weird horror story anecdotes in different like publications of like, as soon as we had a baby and the baby was crying all night, my husband left because he couldn't sleep and then went to go like be with his parents. And it's just like,
or hang out with his guys, and when they went to a bar, it's like, what the fuck? Like,
And you never know how someone's going to be until they're in that situation. So it's just like, do you know that life is not all just like chilling out? Like,
Totally.
there's going to be difficult times.
Totally. Absolutely. And life is pretty boring. You do the same thing every day. So if you could do the same thing every day with someone you like and they step up to the plate and help you with it, like, that's great. You're not like, we're not on the freaking Bachelor and we're traveling every week and we're, you know, going on fun adventure dates. Like, this is the real life.
Do you watch The Bachelor?
I did. I don't anymore.
Oh, I've never watched it. Maybe a few episodes in like the very beginning, but the idea of all the women or even all the men vying for that person's attention, I'm like, if I wanted that kind of drama, I would just be dating, and I'm doing that anyway. So it's like, I don't need to see that play out on the big screen.
Got it. We should have a series of Bachelorette Krista.
Ooh. Yeah, when I'm back into like dating force again, I feel like maybe we can. I don't know, like, I always have that fear that by chance some guy that I'm talking to is going to stumble upon this podcast and then hear me like talk about them.
Then you say, oh, that wasn't about you. That was about someone a few years ago.
Yeah. But also, they're never going to hear this podcast.
Well, this was fantastic. Anyone out there who's your celebrity crush? Were they similar to ours? Is there any weird couples that are currently dating or married that you find is a little odd or strange? Do you agree with the list that Krista read on like the top males that are
attractive traits
considered hot? Yeah, exactly. I want to hear. Let us know.
Yeah, and also, guys, please rate us on the streaming platforms. Give us a rating and a review. We want to know how we're doing.
Let us know. Well, I think that's it. Well, thanks for joining us. And Krista, we'll chat next week, I guess, on something equally exciting.
Yeah, girl. We'll talk next week.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.